So in this part, we are going to be setting up Node.js backend for our FleetMS version 2. So based on this full stack matrix you see here, we've actually covered almost everything in this matrix, but today we are going to be talking about using Node.js backend. Now the full stack matrix helps you to understand how much technology components in a technology stack that you know. And at this point, we've covered this, we've covered this, we've also covered these, we've also covered Timely to Spring, we've covered Spring to PostgreSQL, we've covered Spring to H2, basically, right? So now if you count the number of edges here, we have about 6 edges, right? So it happens that the number of edges you can connect in the full stack matrix defines your skill as a developer. For me, I can count actually about maybe close to 20 because you can actually add more components in each of the areas, front end, back, each of the layers, front end, back end. So depending on the number of edges you can connect, then it means your skills are it will be increasing. So we are going to be talking about setting up Node.js. Currently we are using Spring Boot as our backend. But today we are going to be setting up Node.js in the same Spring Boot application. We are going to be setting up Node.js and it's going to be really interesting. So that means that at some point you want to shift from Spring to Node backend, you can also do that as well. So let's go ahead to get started now. Our application still works. We are using MySQL database. In the previous tutorial I showed you how to use PostgreSQL and H2. So this is the configuration for the two other databases. You can actually add as many configurations as you like in this place. So let's now set up Node.js right now and be able to fetch data from Node.js to the UI. Again, I would like to mention that if you are joining me for the first time, please subscribe to my channel, and if you have challenges, please let me know in the comment box below. And also, if this is your first time, it may need that you go back to start from the beginning. But else, if you have some particular topics that you find difficult, look through the playlist. You see everything you need about software development. You can find which topic that you actually need some help, and then focus on that. So let's start at this point. Some kind of step-by-step has been made here in my website on how to connect nodes to MySQL. Actually, this is PostgreSQL. So actually, you can understand how it works by following these steps to do all this CRUD operation. But let's now follow the steps in this tutorial to actually integrate Node.js in FleetMS version 2. So the first thing we want to do is to right click on the folder and say new and create a new directory. So this directory is going to be the directory that's going to hold the Node.js backend. So I'm going to call it Node. Let's just call it Node.be. So in this Node.be, we are going to initialize Node.js. Of course, before you do this, you should have Node.js installed in your system. So I'm going to go to my terminal. So let me go to my terminal here, and I'm going to, why is this saying node off? So there's no node off. So I'm going to kind of close this and open the terminal, and yeah, so we have this. I'm going to go cd Node.be, that is Node backend. Now we are going to initialize Node.js inside this directory. So I'm going to say npm init. I can't remember, but I think that should be it. Yeah, package name is be, that's fine. So yeah, version description. So I'm going to call it Node backend for FleetMS v2. Entry point is okay, so let's leave this index.js. Is actually up. Maybe I can just leave it for now. So like just keywords, author, Kyneton, and license. Yeah, okay. So we have our Node.js initialized. So if I come here to refresh this, you can have the package.json generated for us right here. The next thing I want to do now is to install npm into this directory. So I'm going to say npm install, and see, yeah, so it gets a package log.json. But I already have npm installed globally, so there's no problem. So what I'm going to do now is to create a file. It's going to be connection dot. I'm going to call this file connection.js. So this file is going to contain the connection to our MySQL database. So at this point, I'm simply going to copy, because I already have the content of this file. I'm going to paste it and I'm going to explain it to you. Alright, so we have this connection variable here, or connection file. You need the create pool coming from MySQL, and you have the connection pool. You specify the host name, the user, the password, and the connection limit. You can actually increase it to something else, maybe to 50 if you want. And then you have to export it, because we are going to be using this connection file in a different file. So before we can import MySQL into this connection, we need to install MySQL. So I'm going to say npm install MySQL. Okay, so it's going to install MySQL into the node modules here. So if I just come back here, you see we have the node modules here, and we have MySQL right there. So I'm going to create a second file that's going to now be our API. So I'm going to create this file. I'm going to create a new file, and I'm going to call it index.js. So this index.js is going to be our API that's going to actually be making get requests or put or post any request you want to make. But for this tutorial, I'm going to just show you how to make a request to the countries table and fetch everything, the data from the countries table, and display it on the UI. So another thing we need to do now is to install Express, because Express is used to actually more or less create a server to be able to serve HTML, to serve content to the UI. So let me clear my console here, and I'm going to install Express. I'm going to say npm install Express. Okay. Alright, so that's fine. So the next thing we want to do now, in this file, we are now going to import Express. So I'm going to say const Express. Let me increase the font a little bit. Yeah, okay. Const Express is equal to require, and it's going to be Express, okay, and a semicolon, and we also have to import the connection, const, and we also need to import the connection. So I'm going to say const client. So basically I'm calling the connection client because it's more or less like a client that connects to the database. You can change the name if you want, because it's kind of best practice to call the connection client. So require connection.js, okay. Yes, so it's gonna have to put /. Okay, perfect. Okay, so this is where we are, and we need to create an app. So I'm going to say const app is equal to Express. And at this point, we want to now define what happens when the server starts up, okay? So what happens when the server starts up? I'm going to display a message to the console, say server starts at port. So I'm going to say app.listing, and I'm going to specify the port. Let me use port 3300. Of course, you can use any port number you want that is valid. And the second parameter is going to be an arrow function that specifies what's going to happen. And the arrow function here, the content is going to be, I'm just going to say console.log. I'm going to say server is listening port 3300 ... So now if I fire up this server, now how do we run it? We don't run it the same way we run our Node, our Spring Boot application. We run it in a different way. So first I'm going to save everything, and to run it, you simply say node and specify index.js. So we have an error. Okay, let's see. Okay, so it says the port is already in use. Let's try for 3000. I don't know what is using the port anyway. clear my screen. So I'm going to first let me save everything, file, save all, and let me try port 3000. So I'm going to say node index.js. Okay, so it now tells us the server is listening at port 3000, as you can see. Increase the font, so I can't increase the font. So now the server is working. Now, when a connection comes in, it means that when a user enters something in some URL in the browser, it's going to come into the server that is listening. So we're going to specify what's going to happen when a user enters a URL route into the browser, and we are going to specify what's going to happen. And to do that, we are simply going to say app.get. In this case, we are talking about a GET request. So I'm going to say, let's say countries. Let's say we want to find a list of countries, and we say countries, and the second parameter to this function is going to be an arrow function that takes two parameters, a request and a response. So it's going to be a request and a response, and it's going to specify what's going to happen. Alright, so when something comes into this URL here from port 3000/countries, what is going to happen? You can actually just say return, you just check response.send, and simply send a response to the user or to the request or to the browser. So I'm going to say yes, I got you. Thanks. Okay, so let's say we just send something else. If the user goes here, this is what is going to happen. And we also want to, let's say, write something in the console.log. A user just requested list of countries. Okay. Alright, so this is what's going to be when the user goes to the browser and goes to /countries, it's going to come here. For now, we've not accessed the database. This is just to show that it's working. So I'm going to stop the server and let's relaunch it. So I'm going to stop the server and I'm going to save everything. So file, save all. And I'm going to relaunch by saying node index.js, and server is listening in port 3300, actually it's 3000, so there is a typo. Okay, so if I go to port 3000, now, so let's go to the browser, and I go to HTTP, and go to localhost, and I'm going to port 3000. Now it says cannot get because we've not gone to /countries. So if I go to /countries now, countries, you can now see that it displays yes, I got you, thank you, because that's what we specified that's going to be displayed right here. And if you also look at the console right here, you can see that it says a user just requested a list of countries. What I don't know is whether this console actually also displays, this text also displays in this console. That is what I don't know. So it actually does not display in the browser console, it displays in the application console right here. So now what we want to do now is, since we know that our server is working and is able to get a request and send back a response, we now want to fetch data from MySQL. We have a connection to MySQL, but how do we now fetch data? So how to fetch data is this. I'm going to first take out this response. Let's kind of, instead of sending a response, let's just first connect. So to connect, I'm going to, say client.query. And here in client.query, you want to specify the SQL query that selects what you want. So I'm going to specify in backticks. Okay, so in backticks, you want to specify the query you want. So I'm going to say select star from country. Now, to specify a particular table, you can use the name of the table, but you need to specify the name of the database as a prefix to the name of the table you want to select. So fleetDB.countries. Now the SQL query takes two parameters. The first parameter is just what we specify the query, which comes as a string. We specify here as a string and close in backticks. And the second parameter is going to be an arrow function on what is going to happen. So I'm going to specify like this, the arrow function here. Okay, so what is going to happen when a query is made to the database? Two things will happen. Two things could happen. One, there will be error, and second, there will be a result that comes back. So we are going to capture what code will execute when there is error and when actual result comes back. Okay, so we are going to say if, and the two parameters here is going to be, one is going to be error and one is going to be the result. So I'm going to say error, either error or some results come. So I'm going to say if error, or let's start with if not error, and we are going to do something, and else everything works fine, and we're going to do something else. So if error occurs, we are going to just display the error in the console. So I'm going to say console.log, I'm going to say error.message. Okay, so this is what happens when an error occurs. We simply display the message to the console. But if an error does not occur, I'm going to simply sign back the result by saying, remember we did sign back a result in this way. So in this case now, I'm not going to send it here. I'm going to be sending it right here. So I'm going to say response.send and specify what to send. It's going to be the result. So there is a result that comes back when there is no error. So hopefully this is going to work. So I don't know, but let's just hope it's going to work. So I'm going to save everything and permit me to just also display the results to the console as well. So I'm going to say console.log and I'm going to display the results in the console. So I'm going to stop this server and clear my console, and then let's now hope it works. So let me just save everything and let's start our server once again. So I'm going to say, all right, so server is listening now. So I'm going to /countries now. So I'm going to /countries, I'm going to just refresh and it doesn't work. So let's see where the error is. So cannot read property message of null, okay? Okay, so we actually made a mistake. So if not error, we are going to display the result. so I'm going to just take out this. So this is what it's going to be, unless you want to change it the other way around. So if not error, send the result. If error, display the message. So I'm going to just say file, save all, and I'm going to come here. And yeah, so this should be fine. So if I come back here, I'm going to start up my server. I'm going to, just come back here. So I'm going to go back into the nodes backend. So cd nodes be, and I'm going to say node index.js. Okay. So here I'm now going back to the browser and let's see. So I'm going to hit /countries and now it worked. So now we have list of countries coming back from the backend to the UI. Okay. And if you also look at the console, you see that the country list is displayed here. Now, if you go back to this full stack matrix you have here, once you use Node.js, it means that you can now use this data in either React or Angular. You can use it in React or Angular very easily. You can consume this response, this JSON response here in Angular easily. But to use it in TimeLive is not that easy. It's not the same way you use it in Angular or React. You use it in TimeLive, it means you need to kind of fetch this data as if you are fetching data from another API. So it means that you are writing another code assuming that you are getting, making API call using Spring Boot, right? So it means you are going back all the way back here. So you can't go from Node.js straight to TimeLive very easily, because TimeLive is a template engine that works with Spring Boot. So you can't go from Node straight to TimeLive. You can only go from Node to Spring and Spring back to TimeLive. And that I will put a link in the description box of this video to show you how to do that, because I already did it in another tutorial in a different series. So I'm going to be stopping here. Hopefully this is informative for you. I hope you understand what exactly we did. And I'd like to recommend you subscribe to my channel, leave me a comment if this has been informative for you, or even if you have some challenges following my classes, please do let me know in the comment box below. And I remain Kindson the Tech Pro, and I'm always there for you.